Hello, 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 fight fans! It is Alec Carr with my co-host Dustin next to me. Monique unfortunately may not be joining us because Monique actually practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and may have a minor injury, so she's gonna heal up. She might join us in a little bit if she's feeling up to it. But everybody just wish Monique well and that she gets better soon. There's again, it's very minor injury, but she may or may not join us. I'm going to quickly go through the sponsors. We don't have a fight card this weekend, unfortunately, after being spoiled from International Fight Week, Dustin, and after International Fight Month, and afterwards, all the way through August. No fight this weekend, which is upsetting. I wish there was because the Cyril Gahn fight coming up next, and now we gotta wait a whole nother fucking week to talk about it because that is a very exciting fight. Um, I'm gonna jump into our sponsors real quick. Guys, as I always say when I do these announcements, if you're getting old like me, and you're in your 30s and still want to lift like you're 21 years old, you should probably go to rxhemp.com. The stuff does wonders. I use it when I run out of it and have it ordered. I hate it. My body hurts when I don't use it. So go to rxhemp.com and use rxhemp-usn to get 10% off your entire order. And then, guys, as always, visit mybookie.ag today. There are no, like I said, no fight card this weekend for the UFC. There are fights going on in other promotions, though, so make sure you guys pay attention to that. Not even though we only talk about the UFC for the most part, there are other promotions. I think PFL has something coming up this weekend. We got obviously weekend boxing, and then we got all the other stuff going on in the world that you can bet on. So use promo code USN-100 for a 100% sign up bonus. Um, Again, visit mybookie.ag. All right, we're gonna jump right into it. We got fight announcements, Dustin. We got fight announcements on top of fight announcements on top of fight announcements. So we're gonna try to bang these out real quickly. I'm sure some of them we'll talk about longer than others. But let's jump into the most annoying one first. Tony Ferguson's back, Dustin. Aren't you happy? Against Jinglang Li. I'm gonna let you go first on this one. Dustin, what do you think about this fight announcement? Just for background, real quick, that means Tony Ferguson is jumping up to 170. He's the most recent 155er to jump up. So we will see what happens with him jumping up to welterweight, but I don't have a lot of faith in him. So, Dustin, you go ahead.
I don't. First of all, when you said the name, I was kind of confused for a second because actually that caught me off guard. I didn't see the Tony Ferguson. I knew he was fighting again, but I didn't see against 170. Um, First of all, he's not going to do shit at 170. I'd tell you that he's not going to do shit, and he's already got a really tough draw. Now, I previously I have said, and I will state in my words, I don't like the guy who's fighting because I just don't. I don't think he's ever going to be a title challenger. I don't think he's ever going to be up there. But he's good enough to beat Tony Ferguson. I'm going to tell you that right now. Tony Ferguson is not the Tony Ferguson of old. He's been through too many wars. His chin's not what it is. His reaction time isn't what it is. His ground game, Charles Oliveira already proved it wasn't what it is, what it was at some point. To me, Tony Ferguson is literally on the fast track to his way out of the UFC. I, I don't understand. Maybe he needs to finish out his contract. I think Dana respects him because he takes fights and he's an active fighter, which I get. Company men, I understand. They just want to fight. He's hella annoying on the internet. I'm sick of hearing his fucking mouth. Saying that Paradigm and Conor McGregor owe him 500 grand. I don't know how they owe you 500 grand because you've never even fought in a fight that would pay you 500 grand, and you definitely aren't making that base pay. So I, you tell me. I don't understand why he's taking a 170 fight, but he's already getting his ass whooped by a guy that's only 5'8" and Michael Chandler, and you're gonna go up against a fucking 170 monster that's like 6 foot something, same size as you, about as long as a reach, if not longer. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, it's everybody I think that watches the show knows exactly how I feel and have always felt about Tony Ferguson. I think he's one of the most overrated fighters in recent history. Was he good? Yeah, he was good. He was good, man. But if you go down that, his best win is against RDA, which is a big deal. That's not a joke. That's a great win. But if you go down his fight history, he's never really beaten anybody that's ever really contended at a high level, except for RDA. He was perceived as this guy that could beat Khabib, which was never true. Khabib would have fucking rolled over on him, and that fight would have been over in the first round. He had no chance against Khabib. His ground game, in my opinion, has always been overrated, and his unorthodox striking it just is bad. It's just bad when he fights. I mean, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And he got injured, and that's a big deal, and he never really fully recovered from that injury. I'm not saying he's always been this bad because he hasn't always been this bad. He was a legit top fiver at one point.
Can I be honest about his striking? And one
Yeah.
of his skills was in 155 was to be pretty much a very active fighter, very jump in there, brawl type guy. Look, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that shit only lasts so long. That shit only lasts so long. You can only take that amount of damage for so long, and then you're gonna move up in weight after you just got annihilated. He just got annihilated. Like it's not even fun.
Dustin, he should have retired. He just should have retired after everybody would understand that was a devastating knockout. He went stiff. Like anytime you go stiff, that you're talking about long-term damage to your brain. He should have just retired. And this fight, Jing Lang is going to absolutely annihilate him. He's a better fighter. He's bigger. Now Tony Ferguson definitely walks around closer to 200 than he does 155. Let's just say that.
Khabib. So does Khabib. Khabib
Right. So the making the weight is not going to be an issue. The issue is he's not as good as he once was, and he never was as good as we were told. That's the issue with Tony Ferguson, and that's what we're learning. I mean, granted, his last fights were against Justin Gaethje, who's another overrated fighter. He got, we all saw the Do Bronx, like how Do Bronx just proved that his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was always overrated. Then Beneil Dariush and Michael Chandler. I mean, those are all really tough fights, but this is the guy that was supposed to be Khabib, and he's losing to all these guys who couldn't touch Khabib. So maybe Do Bronx could have, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Maybe we'll get into that if we have a little bit of time at the end of the show.
We have time.
Yeah, but this fight is just dumb. That's why I wanted to talk about it first to get it out of the way. He's a really, like you said, he's not a contender. Probably won't ever be a contender, especially in that 170 division that's about to get fucking nuts with Shavkat and Chimaev contending. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the 170 division later when we talk about Usman's loss and the pound-for-pound rankings. But he doesn't stand a chance against any of these top guys in the division. I mean, could you imagine him against Burns? I mean, Burns would absolutely annihilate him. And then you put him – think about him against Shavkat or Chimaev. Like, done. Doesn't stand a chance. Just doesn't stand a chance. Anyway, we're moving on. Moving on to the next fight announcement because we got a lot to talk about. Let's move on to the one I'm excited about, but most people aren't. Dan Hooker got his fight. He's been asking for one for a long time. There's another guy like Tony Ferguson who really likes to stay active. And he got Claudio Puelles. Poulet. I don't know how to say his last name. He's based out of New Zealand. One of the New Zealand. No, sorry, that's Dan Hooker. Claudio's based out of Peru. And this is a huge, huge step up for Claudio to be fighting somebody, to be gifted somebody like Dan Hooker, because Dan Hooker is a legitimate fighter. We all know that. We've all seen the wars and battles he's been in, but this is a tough matchup for him as we all know Dan Hooker's weakness is his ground game. So, and Claudio definitely has the advantage on him there. Dustin, what do you think about this fight announcement? Do you think it's fair for Dan Hooker to be going down so far? Because this is a huge step up for Claudio.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And the reason I think it's fair is because I agree with you. We've seen him in the wars. I agree with you. We've seen him in the good fights. But let's be honest. Let's just going to be honest to everybody. He's lost them. You can be as many wars as you want. Diego Sanchez has been a lot of wars. But guess what? He lost it. So that's that's the big point in the UFC. What I think the UFC is trying to do is they're trying to get him back on track. And they're trying to give him a set-down fighter that maybe he can get some momentum and compete, because Dan Hooker's good for the UFC. He's a good fighter, and he's in a very famous camp. Like, the camp he's in, very famous. It has a lot of potential to do great in the sport of mixed martial arts. It's just that I think UFC is trying to gift Dan Hooker with a W. They're trying to help him out, dude. They're trying to help him out. They're trying to get him on track, because if they feed him to the upper echelon of 145, I mean, it's a very good chance he loses at this point. Like, it's to me, he's very close to being a stepping stone and a big name to beat. That's where he's getting close.
Yeah, I think Dan Hooker should have remained in the featherweight division. I think he fits in better with that division in the first place than this thing. You know, the him being in this division is pretty tough for him. So we'll see what happens. Just so everybody knows, Claudio is, for the people saying that Claudio is a no-one fighter. This is a guy that annihilated Jordan Levitt when Jordan Levitt was being perceived as he finally got it. This is like Claudio Puelles is the guy's incredible. He is an incredible talent for the UFC. But this is not a gimme fight for Dan Hooker whatsoever. It is one where he'll prove himself if he wins. I'm going to be rooting for him. I like Claudio too, but I'm going to be rooting for Dan Hooker, somebody who takes fights like he does without question. I always respect. He's a fighter's fighter, meaning he just wants to fight. So we'll see what happens with this one coming up. It is slated for UFC 281. Okay, one more fight announcement, one that I'm super excited for, Dustin. I don't know if you saw this. Kevin Holland is fighting Daniel Rodriguez. They're fighting a UFC 279 versus the Chimaev versus Diaz card. That card is started out as kind of a joke because it's headlining. It's a PPV, not headlining a championship fight, but it is getting very fun. That card looks like it's going to be a blast to watch. It was like the UFC was like, fuck it, let's just make fun fights, man. Let's just have a card of all fun fights, because that's what this one is. You got D-Rod versus Batman, as he's now known. Dustin, what do you think is going to happen here? I'm pretty certain what I know is going to happen. Dustin, what do you think?
Daniel Rodriguez is fucking tough. If anybody doesn't think so, they're mistaken. Kevin Holland's also a good striker, and D. Rodriguez, he is a very good striker as well. So you're kind of they made this on purpose. They made this especially on purpose. It's going to be a test for both of them. Kevin Holland's a very big dude, and he has a really good reach, and he's a really good striker. He's not as good on the ground. I don't think Daniel Rodriguez is going to try to shoot on him or nothing. So we'll see. It's so hard to pick. I think Kevin Holland's very, very good at striking, man. Like, I really think he can beat Daniel Rodriguez on the feet, and I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to keep it standing up. So if someone's going to make me choose, I would choose Kevin Holland in this fight.
Yeah, I'm definitely choosing Kevin Holland in this fight. I think he's got him outclassed. D-Rod's fun to watch, man. He throws haymakers and only haymakers. like that's what he does. While with a guy like Kevin Holland, he's got that long reach, got that long legs. He's going to take that away from him. I also, Dustin, this is what I want to see. Can Kevin Holland please use his high-level black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Can he just use it, please? I just want to see it. I know it's there. His black belt is a highly reputable black belt. It's not like it's not a no-name black belt. It's not like he was just gifted it, which happens with some Brazilians gifted.
He got it from Travis Lutter.
Right.
Damn good.
Exactly. Like, can we please just see him use it? He's the perfect body type to use it. He knows how to use it, but he just won't because he wants to knock fuckers out. Yeah, but even if he doesn't use it, I think he does win this fight. I love D-Rod, but he's not the striker that Kevin Holland is. He's just not. All right, that was our last fight announcement. Now we're going to move on to some of our other topics. Why don't we just jump right into, before we get into P for P update, why don't we get into Usman's loss? I feel like we have to. This is one of those losses where you have to cover it. Doesn't matter how long after the fight it is. We have to cover this. It's a big, big fucking deal that it happened. Kamaru Usman, who was trying to surpass GSP as the greatest welterweight of all time, whether either of us believes he ever would, which I don't think neither of us do, but that's what he was trying to do. Usman it's very rare that you see the pound for pound best lose. It doesn't happen that often. And especially the way he lost with that walk-off knockout combo that Leon threw was just crazy. Dustin, I'll go to you first on your thoughts on this. What do you think happens here? Do you think, obviously, he deserves an immediate rematch. Do you think he looks healthy enough, but do you think he's going to be healthy enough? Do you think Dana will try to make him wait for some fucking stupid Dana reason? And how did you react to the fight is what I want to know most of all.
Well, I reacted to it just how everybody else reacted to it. Usman did what I expect him to do. He lost a round and he dominated the fight. That's what I expect him to do. I expect him to dominate Leon. And he really did. He really did until he got caught. And here's the thing, I'll never forget this quote from Conor McGregor when he was coaching the Ultimate Fighter. He was like, it's not that you weren't the better man. He was like, you got caught. And he was like, people get caught. He was like, it just happens. It's not that you were the worst fighter. It's not that you weren't doing what you were supposed to do out there. You just got cracked. And it will happen. It's MMA, man. This is the game. All it takes is one shot in here. 4-ounce gloves, a big kick. That's all it takes. And literally, he got the biggest reason I think he got caught was because I could see it kind of in his body language. He looked a little tired. When you're tired, when you get hit by a big shot when you're tired, it's not a good thing because you're already losing oxygen to the muscles. And then when you get cracked real clean, it's not a good day for you. It's just not. And we saw that ugly knockout. That was ugly. That was an ugly knockout. He got folded. Like, it was bad. He fell straight back. He got knocked the fuck out. Like, that was a big kick by Leon. I respect Usman. I haven't always been the biggest fan. He started winning my fandom when he was knocking guys out and he was being entertaining. So I appreciate that. He takes chances. That's what he does. I'm sorry. And that's why he got knocked out. His coaches told him not to do that. His coaches told him to grab him and wrestle him and get a little bit less, risky. But that's not who Kamaru Usman is, dude. He's going to walk forward and he's going to put on a fight. It's who he is. He's going to walk forward. He's going to take the chance. And he paid for it. But, who cares? Honestly, people were trying to diss on him a little bit because he lost. And I was like, dude, he put on the line. I'd rather you lose in that type of fashion than win boringly. Honestly, I respect you more for getting knocked out like that and putting on a show and trying to really finish the fight, trying to do what you got to do. He absolutely deserves an immediate rematch. Immediate. It's not even a debate. And I think he'll beat Leon Edwards in the second fight, if you ask me. That's just how it's probably going to go. Now, Leon, I'm happy for you, though, dude. That knockout was fucking insane. That's going to go in the history books. It just is. The dude was on an 18 fight win streak. It's going in the history books, you doing that. You will never be forgotten in the sport. I will say that. I am highly happy for Leon Edwards. But for Usman, I like his attitude. His attitude shows me everything. The fact that he wasn't sour about it. He walked away and he was like, "Congrats, I'll see you soon." And it was like, "My bad, I got hit," and I love it. He didn't make excuses. He didn't try to sit there and pawn off the blame on his coaches, himself, nothing. He sat there and he's like, "I lost. I got knocked the hell out, and I'm ready to come back." You know what that tells me? That he's going to win the second fight. When you accept defeat like that, you're going to work harder because you're putting the blame on yourself. You're accepting responsibility. And that tells me he's going to train hard. He's going to prepare for this fight. The only chance that Leon has to win in the second one, like I'm saying again, what he just did. And if he catches him in the late rounds and he hits him hard, that's where he has his chance. But all with 5-round fights, Usman will probably win if he stays away from the big shot. That's just the truth.
Yeah, and I agree with you. My reaction was just in all shock. I loved the video of Ali, Henry Cejudo, and
So they were all like, "What the?"
Usman's crew. That perfectly. I was like, the way I thought of that video was like, that's real. What you're looking at is real fight fans' reaction to a fighter getting knocked out versus the nonsense that was happening behind them. Like that's like real fighters, real fight fans all went for about I didn't say anything for probably 3 minutes straight when it happened. I was
like, fuck.
I was just in utter shock when it happened. And like everybody's saying, what you said, yeah, Usman did exactly what we thought he would do, except for in the first round when he got taken down, he got tripped. But he got taken down. Usman was even shocked. And then Leon got his back. Usman was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then he came out and was like, I'm not playing this game anymore. And, we saw some of the easiest takedowns ever landed in a championship fight. If we're being honest, like, the one where he fainted and realized he could get the takedown was like a glitch, like a video game glitch. That was absolutely. I've never seen anything like that in a championship fight, or even really in a UFC fight. Like that's like Usman was having his way with them. Did Leon have moments? Yeah, Leon had moments where he was landing kicks that were doing serious, especially that those leg kicks he was landing were hurting him, and he was.
He landed that elbow, dude.
That's what I was just gonna say. He landed that elbow, and he was landing body shots that were hurting Usman. They were. That's why Usman was tired. Usman doesn't get tired.
He landed like 3 clean left hooks.
Yeah. Yeah. So Leon had his moments throughout the fight. He just got his confidence taken away every time he got taken down. Seriously, that's what it was. And his corner was screaming at him the entire after every round. Do you want to be in this fight? Are you here? Like, if you don't want to be here, we'll throw in the towel. But you got to start doing something. You're not fighting your fight. And, Usman doesn't let people fight their fight. That's kind of his MO. He just, when in trouble, he goes back to fighting his fight. He takes you down and he ground and pounds, or he rides you out. Which he really didn't do. I really respected the level of ground and pound he was landing and the level of activity he was doing. Because I even really thought that if Leon had done damage standing, Usman was going to go the Jorge Masvidal way and just kind of like, all right, we're on the cage for the rest of the round now.
You know what Usman has that makes him so dangerous on the feet? And I don't care if it's old school, but it works. Is that fucking clean jab, dude.
That jab overhand combo is fucking terrifying.
He can throw that jab. When you have a jab that stuns people, when you have a jab that literally, because Muhammad, you know who was the last person to jab that stunned people? Muhammad Ali. Mm-hmm. Muhammad Ali had a jab that would stop you in your tracks, and it felt like a power shot.
Well, you know who else does? You know who else has that jab? Khamzat Chimaev.
Yes, I'm telling you, if you're a strong jab puncher, if you are strong even with your weak hand, when you throw that jab out, if you can stop your opponent in their tracks, I don't care what anybody says, a jab is the most valuable weapon in an arsenal. Because you know what? I don't care if you try to get off the combination. If you throw 2, and you fire off that jab, and it stuns and it hits right in the middle, bro, you're done because it controls your head. When you get hit like that, your head.
And especially in MMA, where you could throw the jab and go into and shoot a takedown afterwards. That's Kamaru Usman's game. He hits you with the jab, shoots the takedown, or he brings that overhand right behind that jab, and he knocks you the fuck out with it. The other things, real quick, Dustin, because we do have to move on. The other things I wanted to say about this fight is how dare Joe Rogan and DC commentate that fight the way they did. That was an absolute disgrace, and they should both be embarrassed of themselves. They were saying after the second round that Leon Edwards was tired. Oh, he's tired. He's done. Oh, he's so tired. He's done. Oh, he's done. He's going to lose this fight. He's done. He's got no chance. He's given up. He's done. The entire fight, they were saying it when Usman was just as tired as Leon Edwards. Like, the fact that they were commentating that fight, that should have been the last straw for DC. He should be fine. He should be taken out of the booth and put up in the pre-card booth. Like let him do that. He should not be in the booth. He can't commentate anymore.
DC, the only reason he's ever reigned as champion is because John Jones was popping for drugs.
Yeah, he keeps bragging about his 8 belts. He doesn't actually have 8 belts, people. That's not true.
John Jones is literally. I'll give him credit for beating Stipe. I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
But boy, you ain't never beat the real champ. You would never have been light heavyweight champ if John Jones just wouldn't have been taking drugs. That's
right.
It.
Right. Anyway, the other thing I want to say, I need to point this out to people. The knockout was not a mistake. It was not a fluke. It was not like something that he just got lucky. That was a great pinpoint combination by a kickboxer. His actual favorite combination that he has 3 knockouts with.
I'm telling you, if anybody ever says that was on accident, you are stupid. He threw the jab. He made Kamaru react. Then he threatened the cross, and when Kamaru ducked that head over, he threw that big ass kick, and that was set up.
It's Leon's favorite combo. He throws it in every fight, and he lands it in almost every fight. Like that combo is his specialty. He's a pinpoint kickboxer. That's what he does. That's why he's as good as he is. Anyway, the loss was just, as far as the next fight, he should get an absolutely he should get an immediate rematch. Bilal needs to shut up. He was getting his ass whooped before the eye poke. He was getting destroyed. He had been rocked 3 times already. I just watched that fight again. He was absolutely getting annihilated. The fight was almost over. And then Jorge Masvidal, just go away. That's all I gotta say about that.
No, I'm so sick of Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, just go away. Fight Conor. Just fight Conor. That's all I want to see. Just fight Conor. All right, we're moving on. Moving on to the next topic, we'll see what happens with this one. His medical suspension has not been released for Usman yet, so we don't know. He definitely has a concussion, so we'll see what happens.
Definitely.
Also, wait, real quick, I do have to give Usman credit. He reacted with class. He reacted how a champion reacts to a loss. He even said, I was just before the show, was watching an interview where he was being interviewed after the fight. He was like, Leon Edwards is he's like, I had almost a perfect fight. I won almost every round except for the first. I know I won every round except for the first. I was doing everything I could. I was winning the fight hands down. But the thing about Leon was I take his confidence away in one round, and he comes out and he has his confidence again. And these are Usman's words. He says, that is a dangerous motherfucker. Anybody who can lose their confidence and have that short memory is a dangerous guy. And Usman even went on to say, I've only fought one other guy like that in my entire career. I've never not been able to take people's confidence away. I give all the credit in the world to Leon Edwards. He won the fight. And
I think Covington was the only one that he fought that was probably the most scrappy. and just wasn't scared of Kamaru the whole fight. That was, if there's one person I know that fought Kamaru like that and had confidence and really put on a fight, it was Covington. So that's the only
Yeah,
person.
the difference with Covington is Usman, you could tell, was never afraid of his striking. Like, never. He was never afraid to stand up with him because he's got pillow hands. With Leon, you could tell after that first round, he's like, fuck, I should just shoot the takedown.
This motherfucker can hit hard. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we're moving on. We gotta talk about this because I have an issue. Pound for pound rankings come out again, as they always do after cards. And Alexander Volkanovski's on top. I have no problem with this, Dustin. I have no problem with that. He should be on top. He should be. My problem is, do you know what my problem is with this? You probably do already. My problem is what's next. Everybody knows how much I love Izzy. Everybody does. Dustin knows I defend Izzy more than I should. He should not be second anymore. He shouldn't be. The way he fought Whitaker, the way he's been fighting recently, he's not second. Oh, and by the way, he's got 0 ground game, so he can't be the second pound for pound best in the entire UFC. The guy's got no ground game. He's missing an entire part of MMA, and you got 2 Bronx under him. The fucking disrespect for Drew Bronx is getting. I'm gonna lose my. If I ever meet Dana, I'm gonna lose my mind on him only about Drew Bronx. Drew Bronx is a guy that's on a 10-fight win streak, 11-fight win streak, right? 11-fight win streak, is killing all of these guys who are the best 155ers of all time, or going to be the best 150. He's beating them all to the point where he beat the arrogant Justin Gaethje to the point where Justin Gaethje is now saying, I have never been hit harder in my life than when I was hit by Drew Bronx. That shocked me, Dustin, when he said that. He said, I had never had a feeling in my life when Drew Bronx landed that clean hook on me, and I had never had, it felt like he said, it was something like, when your hand goes to sleep? That's what my head felt like. My head felt like it was asleep. And that was the first hard hit he landed on me. Drew Bronx is not to be trifled with. This is a guy that, Islam might win that fight. He might, because he's such a good level wrestler. But Drew Bronx is probably going to beat him. He's probably going to bait him into going on top and being like, oh, you got me wrestling. Oh, armbar, fuck you. See you later. Not only is he now a powerful striker that strikes with good precision, he's also the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist in the entire world. I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. He just is. And then you put on top of it Khabib talking about he's never seen a wrestler like Islam. Khabib, you've never seen a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist like Drew Bronx.
He hasn't faced any type of fucking wrestler in his life when it came to the UFC. He has never even fought anybody. That's the reason he dominated 155, was because he never faced anybody with anywhere close the wrestling capability that he has, and that's just a fact. I don't know why Khabib always says that. First of all, the reason he beat a lot of those strikers was because, first of all, they made one mistake when they fucking fought Khabib, and it was the fact that they didn't want to pressure him. Why? I don't know, because if you ever pay attention, when Khabib was getting pushed behind the black line, so there's the octagon, there is a line in it. When Khabib is on the outside, he's smart enough not to shoot. He shot on Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor, in that situation, stuffed it. Absolutely stuffed it.
Conor McGregor still has the most stuffed takedowns against Khabib of all time.
Here's the thing about here's where people fail with Khabib. They were too scared of the takedown. Period. And so now we're gonna talk about Charles Oliveira against Islam. Do you really think? Are you really gonna tell me in your mind with a straight face that he's gonna be scared of Islam shooting? No. He's gonna press him. Is he scared of Islam's hands? No. Let's be real. And if people fucking forgot, Islam got knocked the fuck out in the UFC. I just hope everybody remembers he got knocked the fuck out. He got slept. It happened. I know, because Khabib almost cried. It looked like he was about to cry. But early in his UFC career, he got knocked the fuck out. Did he go on a big win streak after that? Of course. But
Yeah.
here's the thing about Charles Oliveira against Islam. First of all, he's a better striker. Second of all, it gets to the point where you also need to understand he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist that is also very long-limbed. You know how, dude, it's so hard. It's why Nate Diaz, nobody goes in his guard because you're be stupid. He
Right.
can throw a triangle in his sleep, literally.
And
I'm telling you, Charles Oliveira is not scared of Islam on the fucking ground. I don't know
right, and that's the thing. I got into a little Twitter spat. It's everybody keeps saying wrestling is the next big thing in the UFC. It's not when you have this high level of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's different. These wrestlers, these guys haven't seen this. Where it's been a long time since we've seen somebody like this fight an elite wrestler. Do Bronx is gonna invite him to take down. He's better off his back. Like that's where he wants to be. So this fight is and Islam and Khabib are smart enough to know that. So this fight's gonna turn into a striking fight until Islam gets hurt, and then Do Bronx is probably gonna shoot the takedown himself. That's how I see this going. That being said, the rest of the pound for pound rankings, Kamaru Usman is fourth. Which has got some controversy. I don't understand the controversy. He's clearly, I would still say he's actually the second best fighter. Even though he lost to Leon, he was outclassing him the entire fight. Like it wasn't a fluke. He got caught with one of the best combos in the entire UFC. Like for people to be outraged that Kamaru Usman's fourth and above Leon Edwards is just dumb. It's just dumb. Kamaru Usman.
I'm not going to argue the fact that he's ahead of Leon Edwards in the pound for pound. That's not an argument. That's not a debate. You don't have him out to stand on that.
Yeah. Then you got Francis Ngannou, which is a little weird for me because we don't know if he's going to fight again in the UFC.
Here's Francis Ngannou. Don't mistake it, dude. Francis Ngannou is a fucking.
Yeah.
Like the problem is with Francis Ngannou. Is he doesn't have his fucking head screwed on his shoulders. That's it. He's just like John Jones. If Francis Ngannou would fight more and be more active as a champion, and he would just go after it, he would get the money he wants. He would get the fame he wants. He would get everything because he smashes these dudes. He beat Cyril Gane, which is like a multi-time kickboxer.
He wrestled Cyril Gane.
He literally picked Cyril Gane up like a child. And fucking threw him. Like, dude, he's a fucking beast, and his game has gotten so much better since when he fought.
He gets better with every fight, and his fight IQ is obviously very high too. Because
he has the fucking potential to be number one on this list. He just needs to fight. He needs to be in the fucking ring.
And then, all right, we got to move on. We got Leon Edwards at 6, which is a little high for me. To be honest, it's a little
it's still high for me too. He should be there.
I mean, give him. I guess they'll probably knock him down a few pegs after the next fight card. Probably is what I imagine. He deserves it for at least a week. Give it to him for a week. But yeah, he's not the 6th best fighter in the entire world. He's just not. I love you, Leon Edwards. Everybody, I love Leon Edwards. I love him, but he's not the 6th best fighter in the world. Then you got Aljamain Sterling at 7.
Fuck Aljamain Sterling.
Fuck him.
Fuck out.
Now,
and Peter Yan, I'm more mad at Peter Yan than I was Aljamain Sterling because Peter Yan allowed that motherfucker to take his back 3 rounds out of 5, and that was his fucking fault. And he should not have let him do that. Period. He was fighting with his emotions, and he was stupid. That was his fucking fault.
Yes, I agree. This is where I start to get into problem territory again, by the way, is with Aljamain Sterling. Then you have Dustin Poirier.
I don't get that. I don't get it anymore. He's not active. After Charles Oliveira, he disappeared.
So that means, he's trying to run away from the 155 division. Like
I'm telling you, Alec, he was trying to beat Conor, and when it failed, he was done. Like his whole persona was done. After he was trying to beat Conor, when he got beat by the champ, it's almost like his ego and everything, his fight passion, all that just left.
I also think he sees the writing on the wall too. Like Dustin Poirier sees the writing on the wall in that division, and there's going to be huge changing in the rankings over the next year. Like a year from now, the rankings are going to look entirely different than they do today. Like you got Fiziev, you got you. I mean, we go through that division, right? The 155-pound division. You got Dariush, who's just begging for a fight. You have Fiziev. You have Gamrot. You have Sarkui. Yukian, you have Jalen Turner, Demir Ismagulov, you have Terrence McKinney and Paddy the Baddy all coming up. Like, this division's in really good hands, and I think Dustin Poirier saw that and was like, I want to fucking fight any of these guys. I'm out.
It doesn't make sense because if you ask me, he can fight all these guys. Dustin Poirier.
I think he gets knocked out. I think he gets knocked out and outclassed by Fiziev. He's a better striker. Fiziev is a hands down better striker than him. He just did.
But Dustin Poirier can fight them. I mean, he can do well. I mean, it's
I
not
think he can too, but he's getting a little older, and he doesn't want to fight these hungry young guys. That's what it is. Neither is Gaethje.
In my opinion, with Dustin Poirier, he was trying to be Conor, and when he failed to be Conor, he lost all his motivation. He lost all his fight. I mean, it is what it is.
Okay, so here's why I got a problem with Aljamain Sterling and Dustin Poirier being 7th and 8th. Because 9 and 10, you have Deiveson Figueiredo and Yuri Prochazka. Below Aljamain Sterling and Dustin Poirier? Are you fucking kidding me? Yuri, first of all, should be 7. He should probably be 6 right now. The way he showed off his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense against one of the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists the UFC has ever seen, he was rolling out of chokes. He was done for, and he rolled out of it. Like he's not just a striker. He's got ground game. We saw it. We saw it happen in front of our eyes. And you got him ranked against you got him ranked lower than a non-champ in Dustin Poirier.
I'll tell you like this. Don't worry, man, because the future is going to be bigger. You know why? Because he's going to fight popular guys like Jamal Hill. He's going to fight some of these more popular guys in 205. And when he beats them, believe me, he ain't going to be 10 no more.
I know. It's just and I know he's not going to be there for long, but it's just ridiculous. Dustin Poirier's not a champ, and he's ranked above Deiveson Figueiredo and Yuri Prochazka. By the way, Deiveson Figueiredo could be a 2-division champion. Like, the guy's a big fuck. I think he beats Aljamain Sterling, to be honest with you. Like, and it's just ridiculous that you have him. And then you have Max Holloway, John Jones, Stipe Miocic, Peter Yan, and Brandon Moreno. I'm okay with the wrap-up of that. That's fine. I might jump stuff around in different areas, but that's fine. It's just that 6 and 7, and then having Izzy second is just ridiculous.
Not be second, dude. He lost to Robert Whittaker. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. He lost.
He did. All right, we're moving on. We are. Let's talk quickly about Covington coming back. We're gonna make this one really quick. It's not huge news yet because he doesn't have a fight announcement. But Colby Covington says he's healthy, which I didn't know he was injured in the first place, but he says he's healthy now and ready for a fight. He needs to, in my opinion, Dustin, he needs to fight. There's a couple of people that he absolutely needs to fight. He either needs to fight Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, Khamzat Chimaev, and no one else. I don't want to see him fight anybody else but those 3. I don't want to see him fight Jeff Neal. I don't want to see him fight Wonderboy. I don't want to see him fight Sean Brady. Like, those are just fights I don't want to see. Which, by the way, we forgot to mention Wonderboy's fighting Shavkat, which is just not fair. We can talk about that in a different show, but that's just not fair. Like, but that's who Colby Covington has to fight, in my opinion. Or, to be honest, he has to fight Shavkat after he beats Wonderboy. Like, Colby Covington has to get out of this. Like, this division's very real now. He can't get away with fighting Tyron Woodley and then getting a championship fight.
He needs to. I'm gonna be honest with you. If Khamzat rolls through Nate Diaz like I think he is, I think that because then the Leon and Usman fight's gonna happen. It's gonna be a rematch here in probably about like 8 months. I think when Chimaev rolls through Nate Diaz, like I believe he will, then you'll be healthy. I think he needs to fight Khamzat. I think that Colby Covington is the gatekeeper, and if Khamzat wants a title fight, he's gonna have to fight Colby Covington. That's what it is.
I'm laughing because here's the thing people don't know about Colby Covington is he struggles to stay in the welterweight division. I believe that. He should go down to 155. I do not know what he's doing at welterweight. Khamzat is so much fucking bigger than him. Those face-offs would be hilarious. He would look like BJ Penn out there, just like totally tiny. Khamzat could just pick him up and throw him out of the octagon. Like, that fight would be honestly, that fight would be so fucking one-sided. It just would. Colby Covington's a real fighter. He's really, really fucking good. He is. I've always said that. I always take my bias out of hating him, the man, and always give him credit for a good fighter. I don't like that he's fought certain guys over and over again, but that wasn't really his fault when you really look at it. That's how the division was set.
Yep.
But if he avoids those three guys now, he's telling us he doesn't want to. He wants to find an easy way to a title fight. That's or he just wants money fights. Maybe he fights Jorge again. Like, I don't know. But if he doesn't fight one of those three guys, he does not. Until he fights one of those three guys, he does not deserve a title fight. Period.
The money fight for Colby Covington is Dustin Poirier. That is a money fight. That's
right, but Dustin's talking about going up to 170. Like Colby Covington, go down in weight class. You're too small against these real. For the first time ever, and not ever, for the first time in a long time, Dustin, we're seeing welterweights who are actual welterweights since the GSP era. These guys are real 170ers, meaning they're cutting from like 215, 220 down to 170. Like, these guys are fucking massive.
I'll be honest with you. There's a couple guys that I think are too big for the divisions, and Kamaru Usman's one. I think Kamaru Usman could be 185 in 5 seconds. I think that Izzy could be 205. Let's be honest. Volkanovski, actually, he doesn't have the height, but when it comes to muscle mass and how big he is as a man, he can definitely be 155. You know what, dude? It's all about fighters having balls. It's just all about fighters having balls. I just don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't think Izzy's ever going to go up to fight Yuri because Yuri would fuck him up. I don't care to anybody who says Yuri would fuck him up. Nasty. And I'm going to be honest.
That might be a one-punch knockout, to be honest with you.
and then you got guys. Here's the problem with Colby Covington. If he moves down to 155, he's not going to fight some bum. If he goes to 155, bro, he's going to go up against a Darius.
If he goes down, if Colby went down to 155, I honestly believe he would contend. He'd be the second rank. I don't think he can beat Do Bronx, but Do Bronx is. I have this feeling Do Bronx will retire by the end of 2023. I don't think he's going to be in the UFC that much longer.
If he beats Islam, he's staying. I believe if he beats Islam, he's staying.
No, I think he does. I think he's just he wants to rack up a couple of defenses and then he'll just retire. But Colby Covington would be inserted into the 155 division would fuck up the entire division because he can beat a lot of those guys. So that I think it would be the right move for him. I don't like people stepping down. It's usually what happens at the end of their career and they're struggling with stuff. But Colby Covington would make, as much as I hate saying it, Dustin, you know how painful this is for me to say that he would be a legitimate contender or maybe future champion of 155 because I hate him, but he would be. He can never beat Kamaru Usman, and he can't beat Shavkat, and he can't beat Chimaev, and I don't know how well he does against Gilbert Burns, to be honest with you.
Can I be honest with you, though? If Leon does pull out a second time against Kamaru, I think the 170 title conversation opens up a lot because I think there's guys who could beat Leon. If he somehow pulls it out against Kamaru, I think that he opens up the 170 division for a bloodbath. And
the next champion is already, in my opinion, in 170, the next champion's already ordained. Like, it's Khamzat. It's Khamzat, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, we got to move on because we got a lot of topics to talk about. We're going to talk about this one real quick. We're not going to get into fighter pay, Dustin. Okay? We're not going to get into it, not like we normally do, because this has to be a quick topic because we're running out of time. Paulo Costa recently made the claims that he only got paid $35,000 against Marvin Vettori. I'm here to tell you that he's lying. He is lying. He's lying. I feel like these fighters sometimes forget that all this stuff is public information. Like, we can go look it up. Anyone can go look it up. He's not telling the truth, Dustin. He must be confused because he was fined $35,000 for not being able to make weight. It's like he didn't.
20% of your fight purse. You give up 20% of your fight purse as soon as you don't make weight.
Right. So he was fined $35,000. He didn't make 35. Like he was set to make. Let me see if I can find this again. I have it somewhere.
Is 20% of your salary, dude. That's a pretty high salary. I'm gonna just be real with you. That's probably like a good. I mean, damn. I mean, I'm not claiming to be a mathematician, but if 35,000 is 20%, dude, you are making like upwards of around 200 G's. Like that's.
Here's what happened. He was set to make $100,000 just to show, right? So the UFC pays to show, and then they fight. They pay the win rate or the loss rate, and then they pay the sponsorships. That's how the UFC contracts work out. So all of those payments are separate, and not all of it is fully disclosed, which makes this super confusing. So he was supposed to be paid $100,000. When he did not make weight, he lost $30,000. Then for missing weight again, he lost $6,000. So he still made $76,000.
First of all, he claims that he made $35,000. That's impossible. It's impossible. The fact that you're where you're at right now and you've been re-signed, it's almost impossible to only make $35,000 from a fight at your level. It's almost impossible. Unless you signed a contract, stupidly, that your money would be $35,000. If you've got, I'm telling you right now, I'm not a mathematician, but if 20% of is $35,000, just off the top of my head, not using a calculator, 20% being $35,000, dude, your base pay was up there. It had to be around $200,000. It had to be.
Yeah. So here is why I wanted to talk about this. Do you, by any chance, know who Paulo Costa's manager was when he fought Marvin Vettori?
So some part of me doesn't want to know.
It was a man. If you remember, if we go back in time in MMA time, because not UFC, you remember Waleed Ismail, the guy who beat Royce Gracie in grappling? He was in Pride for a little bit. He was known as the Gracie Killer.
The name, it clicks a memory, but it's not exactly the most vivid.
Anyway, he's a part-time manager.
Oh my God.
So Paulo Costa had a part-time manager working for him to negotiate his contracts. This brings us back to our conversation last week. These fighters need to get fucking smarter about who they hire to represent them.
But here's another thing I'm going to talk about with that, though. So use your common sense as a fucking man, as a professional, right? I don't understand, but it also could be a problem here. What agencies are opening their books and opening their pockets and really trying to actively seek UFC fighter representation? Because it has
Let me.
they're not doing it, but there has to be more agents and big companies that are willing. Okay,
Well,
let's take a LeBron's firm, like LeBron's firm for basketball.
yeah.
Why would they not open up their books and try to get a fighter? Like, why would they not try to do that?
Here's why. I'll tell you why. I've done a lot of research into this, Dustin, because you know how fucking crazy I am about research and how much I'd love to find out about the economics of the UFC and MMA. The reason why is because they can't break into it. They Clutch. No, Clutch doesn't want any. The way to break into is you start. Paradigm had to start with no name fighters, unranked fighters. That's how they started.
Then do it.
Clutch wants nothing to do with that. They need big names. That's all they're concerned about. What do you mean why? Because it's the bigger payouts. They don't care about the.
No. I understand that. But I'm saying, like, if you're smart, so like, let's say Clutch has guys that aren't exactly the biggest touted in the NBA. Let's just say like Bo Nickel. I'll use him just as an example. There's more of Bo Nickel, by the way. There's a lot of fighters who are just as touted. I'm saying that if you see a fighter that has a good future, why would you not approach the dude?
Because they don't know the game as well. What they need to happen is a guy like, well, Izzy's with Paradigm, so that's a bad example. They need a guy like Kamaru Usman to leave Ali and go to Clutch. Because Clutch will hire people that know the sport, that know the economics. They will hire people. They won't try to represent them with fucking what's his name? I can't even think of his name now. That's just LeBron's friend. That's what will happen.
LeBron's friend got a lot of people a lot of money, so I can't knock him. I mean, he's got
right. So that's my point. Is it'll take Clutch Sports and all those big money managers out of it, right? You hired a part-time manager and you stuck with him until you were a contender? Why? Why? And you know who he fired? So he fired him. So the good news is, Dustin, he did fire him after the Marvin Vettori fight. But guess who he hired? His girlfriend. His girlfriend's his manager. Not his wife. His girlfriend. His girlfriend.
To debate Dana White, you hired your girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I could do better debating with Dana White than your girlfriend.
This is why I love fighters deserve more money. I believe it 100%. I'll say it every time. But they're not going to get more money until they get out of this going to Ali, going to guys like Waleed, going to these guys who have Dana White is in their pocket. They got to stop doing it, and they got to not be afraid of it. And that brings us to our next point. Paradigm Sports. Paradigm Sports is taking over the UFC and the MMA world. It's happening. Everybody needs to start paying attention because this is going to change fighter pay. The way you change fighter pay is by doing it through actual action of real guys spending the extra money to get a real manager on with you. So just so everybody knows, I want to go through his roster right now. So obviously Paradigm represents Conor McGregor because he owns Paradigm. They also...
You finish now. I'll respond.
Yeah, he owns part of it with his longtime manager and agent. They both own a part of it.
I'll respond. Go ahead and finish.
So he has Dylan Dennis, which is not a huge name, but everybody knows who he is. He's got Dylan McCormack. He's got Hakeem Dawodu, who's going to be on his first PPV coming up. He's got Israel Adesanya, who has the highest base fighter pay of all time. He has Jack Hermanson. They have Jimmy Manua. They have Leon Edwards. They have Johnny Walker. They have Carl Roberson. They have Li Jingliang. They have Michael Pereira, Michael Page over at Bellator, Megan Anderson, Muhammad Mikhailov, and Yuri Prochazka. and Wonder Boy. And they just signed the gold medalist wrestler Taha Ghul. So he's coming to some fighting promotion. He's getting people paid. And he also has Sean Strickland, Royce Wright, and a couple of other big names too. But they are getting people paid. They're changing the game. Muhammad, fuck Izzy's higher fighter pay. The biggest thing Paradigm has done, they got Muhammad Mikhail to start out at $50K a year rather than 12. That's the biggest thing they've done so far. They got a prospect more than prospect money. It's never happened since the UFC built that structure. It's a big, big deal, and it's going to take time. And the next big name they sign is, and the next, let's say Izzy doesn't lose for a while, right? Let's say he beats fucking what's his name, and then goes on and keeps
Alex Pereira.
Yeah, and keeps fighting and keeps winning, right? He's gonna have another contract negotiation. I bet you anything right now, Dustin. I'll put $50 on it. Izzy's next contract with Paradigm, as long as he stays the course and keeps winning, is gonna be around 10 million. It's gonna be around 10 million base pay. It is. Because the other thing that people that don't realize that Ali doesn't care about and all these other managers don't care about, UFC is negotiating 2 years from now, their ESPN contract runs out, which was $1.2 billion, I think. I don't have it pulled up. These are just numbers off the top of my head. It is right now before a contract. So a bidding war is going to happen for the exclusive rights to UFC. Fox wants it back badly. So right now, Disney's trying to get it done early with $5.2 billion. So there's no bidding war yet because they're not out of contract. Once they're out of contract, the UFC is going to wait, and that $5 billion is going to skyrocket. So that is going to cause agencies like Paradigm to recognize that and be like, you're getting $10 billion from Disney for exclusive rights. We need more of that. And that's how fighter pay is going to change. Go ahead.
So I did just like Alec. Yeah, we're both crazy. We both like to do a lot of research. I did a research on Paradigm. Here's the thing about Paradigm. So Conor, no, he technically does not hold a major stake in Paradigm. Here's where things get sticky. And here's why he, quote unquote, is going to pretty much own the name of Paradigm with his likeness. Conor McGregor's partner in Proper 12 that sold it for like way more money than we even thought. Matter of fact, way more money than we ever thought. He made the guy who owns Paradigm $600 million.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Conor are close business partners and close friends. He practically owns Paradigm. Not in a financial sense, not in a ownership stake sense, but he does have a big say in Paradigm. Now, here's the thing about Conor.
Let me interject real quick, because it is just a quick comment. Conor is to Paradigm that LeBron is to Clutch Sports. Go ahead.
Basically. So basically, Conor is a big player in Paradigm simply because he's made the owner of Paradigm a shit ton of money. And by the way, Conor's a fucking god. He's literally in partnership with the biggest alcohol company in the world. I'm gonna just point that out. I don't know how he did it, but he fucking did it. After he sold Proper 12. So oh my god, it's insane. I don't know how he fucking does it. No wonder he doesn't want to fight. Anyway, with Paradigm, when it comes to the guys like this, rich guys are about to get smart. Rich guys are seeing Paradigm. These billionaires are seeing Paradigm. And if you think Paradigm's the last of its kind, it's not. This is gonna be 4 more here in about the next 10 years popping up like Paradigm. Rich motherfuckers are gonna make a Dana White. They're gonna make one, and they're gonna appoint somebody to be the head of a company like Paradigm. And they're gonna appoint the fighter, whoever's smart enough to be bigger than fighting. Boxing, here's a big thing why MMA fighters have not gotten paid. It's because everybody has this thing about fighters. They have to be these foaming at the mouth idiots. that are just brawlers. They can't think for themselves. They can't be smart. They can't be successful in any other fucking venture in their life. They just have to be these foaming at the mouth killers. And it's so stupid. It is so fucking stupid. They are fighters. They're literally independent contractors. They are not killers. They're just not. You need to get that out of your fucking head. There is people around the world who are killers. MMA fighters are not. Fighters are not. People need to get that shit out of their head. They are very talented athletes, and that's what the fuck they are, an athlete. Athlete. Get that through the head. I understand they're in a combative situation, but they're an athlete, and the reason they're so dangerous is simply because they're so fucking talented. That does not make them a killer. It doesn't make them some fucking big macho dude who treats people like shit all the time. It doesn't make them that, man. They're just good at fighting. It is what it is. Like, you need to get that shit out of your head. And as soon as people do, that's when fighters can get paid. That's why boxers are getting paid. Because they're not looked at like that no more. They're not looked like a Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was foaming at the mouth over here talking about he's going to kill people and do all this shit. It's stupid. It's
the other thing with boxing, and we do have to move on because we have one other topic and we're way over and I have to get going. But the other thing with boxing too is how much big money is involved in putting on the fights. We're talking about DAZN. Listen, I've made claims and I've done a lot of research on this. DAZN is a money laundering scheme. That's what it is. The owner, it almost goes out of business every year, and the owner influx it with another 42 billion.
DAZN, D-A-Z-N?
Yeah, DAZN. Sorry.
Yeah, bro, so, they're weird.
This is what happens every year since they started. They almost go out of business, and he throws in another $40 billion of cash into it because he's a Ukrainian gangster. Like, the guy's. Listen, I know Ukraine's going through their shit right now, but that doesn't mean everybody in Ukraine's a nice guy. This guy is not a nice guy. He's got a shit ton of dirty money, and he dumps all of his cash into the boxing promotion because it's a way to clean his money. He doesn't care about it. He's just trying to clean his money, and that happens with boxing fights throughout the entire fucking world. A lot of the boxers get paid so much fucking money because they're trying to get rid of it. They need to get rid of their money, otherwise they're gonna get arrested. So that's another huge factor in boxing that will never happen in the UFC because of how it's structured. Anyway, we're moving on. One last quick topic. Yes, one last quick topic, and we'll end on this. Conor McGregor. Speaking of, Conor McGregor has a setback of his injury. He's apparently not allowed to kick anymore with that leg in training. So something happened because he was in full training. So something happened during his training and he injured his leg. His comeback is now pushed back for probably January or February of 2023. I'm excited. I hope he comes back to fight Jorge Masvidal. But it is a little bit of a bummer. The UFC is better when Conor McGregor is active fighting. It just is. Whether you like him or hate him, it's more watchable. So, Dustin, you got anything to say about this? It is a bit of a bummer as far as news goes, but
I've seen, like I said, I've seen Conor McGregor be highly active with that leg. I think, first of all, he's the only guy I know with a broken half leg that isn't wincing in pain and talking shit. So that tells you how tough a guy that is. He's just a tough fucking dude. And I think he probably tried to press it too much, and it created a minor injury in his leg. And the doctor was like, dude, you keep going, you ain't fucking fighting. Like, you need to rest it. You need to let it heal up. And then you can start kicking. But he was like, I think he tried to come back a little bit too quick. And I think that he started his training a little bit too fast. And the doctor, when he went to him, when he probably had a minor injury in his leg, was like, hey, dude, if you keep going, you can probably just, put fighting on the show. So, I mean, his camp is smart. His camp is smart for telling him that.
And the other thing is, we just went over how much fucking money the guy has. Him and his longtime manager are still trying to buy Manchester United or some Premier Football League team. So Manchester United. Yeah, they want to buy any of them. He really wanted to buy Chelsea. That was what he really wanted to go after. and then they sold to somebody else. So we'll see. We'll stay tuned with Conor. Hopefully, he comes back sooner than later. But that is our show. Coming up next week, we will be talking about UFC Paris, Gane versus Tai Tuivasa. This is a big deal. It's the first fight in UFC, pro UFC fights in Paris. So it is a big deal. You got a ton of great fights on this. This is low-key a very good card to watch. So people, please tune in next week while we break down UFC Paris and all the headlines. I was about to say Happy Fight Week just because it's gotten so used to saying it. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you want to be called, have a great weekend. We'll check in with you next week. Dustin, a pleasure as always. See you guys later.